In London. A full report on President Bush's speech from New Orleans is just ahead. Also this hour, it's the final day of campaigning for candidates in Germany's election. Our European political editor, Güven Polat, is following developments from Berlin.
With pollsters saying that 25% of the German electorate still hadn't made up their minds, Chancellor Gerhard Schröder and his challenger Angela Merkel from the Christian Democrats, who's hoping to be Germany's first woman chancellor, will be making their final pitches in Berlin today. I'll be reporting on what they had to say.
We'll also have a special programme, half-hour programme on Germany in 30 minutes from now. Plus regular market updates throughout the programme. Jim Bolden is at the London Stock Exchange.
European shares are hitting 40-month highs. Mining stocks are soaring. I'll tell you why.
The details of President Bush's speech from New Orleans in just a moment. First, though, a quick check of some of the other stories we're following. In Baghdad, gunmen killed at least 2. Push for votes in Berlin today, the final day of campaigning for Sunday's parliamentary election. Latest polls suggest Mr. Schröder's Social Democrats have gained enough support to keep Merkel's Christian Democrats and their allies from winning an outright majority. Now, there's been much finger-pointing over who was at fault for the slow relief efforts in the aftermath of Hurricane.
Well, we did see actually a rather flat opening, Robin. We thought it would be thin volumes and maybe a slow day. But actually, we have seen European shares powering ahead. Let me show you where these stand right now. We're just a few hours into the trading day, and we're actually seeing some of these shares and some of these indices at 40-month highs. We're getting back to 2002. You see the Xetra DAX over 1%. The Xetra DAX actually had been suffering the last couple of days over fears of a hung parliament that may...
A live report from Berlin as the two main candidates make a last push for votes.
It is not the France most tourists see. But in a country that's now home to the largest Muslim and Jewish communities in Europe, multicultural neighborhoods like Paris's Belleville quarter are as much a part of the new French reality as the Eiffel Tower. Here, the neighborhood grocery stocks both kosher and halal foods. The Jewish butcher shop not only has Muslim employees, but Muslim customers as well. Here, it's no longer Edith Piaf songs, but the hip-hop music of gritty ghetto groups like Siem Nigat, which speaks to France's Arab street.
Inside the Middle East, in association with Arascom Telecom. Arascom Telecom, the first communication community in the Middle East.
German Chancellor Gerhard Schröder and his principal challenger Angela Merkel are making their final appeals for votes in Berlin. As Sunday's parliamentary election approaches, the latest polls suggest Mr. Schröder's Social Democrats have gained enough support to keep Merkel's Christian Democrats and their allies from winning an outright majority. Now, CNN's European political editor, Güven Polat, has been tracking the ebb and flow of the campaign. He joins me now live from Berlin's Brandenburg Gate. Robin, tell me, now we're on the final day. Is it still a close race? Where do things stand?
Well, it's a close race in one sense, Robin. We don't expect Chancellor Gerhard Schroeder to be able to recover enough in the polls to hang on to power himself. We are going to see almost inevitably a change in who is Germany's Chancellor. But the story of this campaign has been one of the lead held by Angela Merkel, his main challenger for the Christian Democrats, gradually ebbing away. 2 months ago, they had a lead, the Christian Democrats, of around 20 points. Now, in the final days of the campaign, it's down to only about 6 points. There have been blunders in the CDU campaign. There's been some honesty in the CDU campaign, which may have cost Merkel votes when she announced that she was going to put up sales taxes by 2% so as to cut employers' costs in another way and make it easier for people to get jobs. But it's a very tight race that we're seeing at the end as to whether Angela Merkel and her chosen allies, the Free Democrats, can win power on their own, or whether she's going to be forced to take Chancellor Schroeder's party, the SPD, the Social Democrats, into a so-called grand coalition. In that situation, all sorts of groups of voters are going to be very important. And one important group of voters will be the Turkish community in Germany. I'm joined now by Güven Polat, Mr. Polat, who is a board member of the Turkish community, and with 600,000 Turkish Germans voting in this election, what they have to say will be important. Now, the Turkish community last time round were big supporters of Chancellor Schroeder and the SPD, Mr. Polat.
This is right. In the last elections, the most of our community voted for the SPD, for the Social Democrats. You know, the first generation who came to Germany were just like normal industrial workers, so they pick up this party, and well, the Social Democrats made some good changes for us, but now it seems to be that the most of our community are disappointed, as well as Mrs. Merkel does her politics. As Mr. Schroeder and his team made some important changes for us.
Is that because of the high unemployment that the Turkish community is disappointed, or because the changes in workers' benefits, greater health charges, lower pensions?
I think everything plays a big role, but the most important thing is that the first generation are Turkish citizens, because they still have the Turkish passport, and the integration progress would be very good if they could keep the Turkish passport citizenship and also take the German ones. But you know, the SPD made a law change, and because of that, it is not possible anymore.
Now, Angela Merkel and the Christian Democrats, she is saying that she doesn't want to see Turkey, following negotiations which start very shortly, become a European Union. Chancellor Schroeder has always backed Turkish entry eventually into the European Union. How does that make the Turkish community feel? Is that going to hit possible support for the CDU?
Well, I think the CDU doesn't make big mistake in concerning this point, because the Turkish community just wanted the political parties to take part, that the Turkey, Republic of Turkey could come into the European Union. It will make a big progress for democracy in Turkey. And, well, some people make a very unfair political talks here. So I think this is a big point for SPD, that they will still get most of the Turkish votes.
And finally, briefly, if I may ask you, the biggest single issue as far as that Turkish community of 600,000 voters is concerned?
Well, you know, I think 600,000 might be a big voting potential, but there will be about 300,000. I think they will go to the elections, and they will vote for some marginal parties too. You know, the left party, PDS. They share the most of the Turkish opinions, and well, it will still play a big role in these elections.
Mr. Polat, thank you very much. And mention there of the Left Party, that's been one of the factors in this election, Robin, the rise, particularly in the former East Germany, of the Left Party, formed of the former communists and the PDS, and discontented members of Chancellor Schröder's SPD, led by Oscar Lafontaine. That is one of the factors upsetting, making uncertain the full outcome of this election. Robin.
Robin O'Keefe for that analysis in Berlin. Well, stay tuned to CNN for a half-hour special. Germany votes coming up in 10 minutes. We'll also have special coverage of the results this Sunday, live from Germany. That'll be starting at 15:30 GMT. That's 17:30 in Berlin.
So, der Hammer, das war Papa an Noahs dritten Geburtstag,
from Iran on its nuclear program.